Let's be honest, that last-minute cancellation text, or even worse, the dead silence of a no-show, isn't just annoying, is it? It's a hole in your pocket and a sign that your booking system is broken. You're losing thousands and you know that deep down a deposit policy is the answer, but you're scared. Stick with me, we'll get you sorted.
All on Build Your Salon.
Last-minute cancellations, no-shows and dropouts are a system failure, and they cost our industry billions every single year. And you know that charging a booking fee or a deposit is the right way forward, but I get it, you're worried that your clients are going to think that you're being greedy, your regulars are going to walk, that you're going to start looking desperate. And I'm here, your Uncle Phil is here, to reassure you that not only will your regulars stay, but actually the right booking policies can make your clients respect you and your time and your skills even more. I'm going to give you the exact words and a step-by-step strategy that helps you protect your business, commands respect, and helps you get paid properly for your expertise every single time. I'm Phil Jackson, your queen of salons, coming all over the internet with another dose of my wise owl wisdom. Before we get to the how, let's get brutally honest about the why. That empty slot, that empty chair, that empty treatment room is costing you a hell of a lot more than the price of the service. It's a bit of a killer for your cash flow. And just as importantly, it's a killer for your morale. Actually, this is a little bit less of a problem for us business owners because we've always got 450 things that we need to be doing and we can fill that time. But if you've got team members, they're going to go straight to scrolling in the staff room and start to get demotivated. On average, salons are losing 5 to 10% of their monthly revenue to no-shows and last-minute cancellations that can't be filled. If you're turning over 10,000 a month, that's $1,000 vanishing into thin air every single month. For a salon owner a few years in, that can easily be hundreds gone. And I've learned this the hard way. Early in my career, certainly early into my salon ownership journey, I had a massive colour correction booked in. It was a prime Saturday afternoon slot. It was going to net, I mean, this is going back to the 1800s when I was very young, but it was probably going to bring in £250, £300. I'd done the consultation, I'd brought in specific products, I'd done my prep, I'd done my research, and mentally blocked out an exhausting chunk of time for the next few hours. And the client didn't show. Didn't get a call, didn't get a text. Actually, it was a bit early. It's a bit too soon for text messages, but I didn't get anything. And while I was waiting around like a lemon, I turned away people that could have taken that booking slot. So not only did I lose the 300 quid for the booking, I was also out by about 50 quid on the products that I bought and the preparation that I'd done. That was over £300 lost on one appointment, plus the people that I turned away as well, plus my time. It's a proper gut punch. And that was the day that I realised the hard truth. If the client's got no skin in the game, then my time and my skill are seen as disposable. And that was the catalyst. I brought in a deposit policy, and within a few months, my no-show rate had dropped by 80%. And it had dropped by 100% on those big services. So the policy that we put in place, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds just yet, but the policy that we put in place was basically any service that will cost more than £100, we took a booking fee. Let's also talk about the opportunity cost. That empty slot could have gone to a new client, a loyal regular, or someone who was on the waiting list. And with no-show rates hitting as high as, I've seen no-show rates as high as 30% in some salons. That's a huge number of missed opportunities. And it means that we're continually chasing new clients to prop up a business and then actually letting them off the hook when they don't turn up. And then we've got the emotional strain. One survey found that for 44% of salon owners, no-shows have a direct negative impact on their team and even their mental health. It's that feeling of disappointment, which lots of us feel, the overwhelming stress that lots of us experience. It's not a small problem. It's business-destroying, passion-killing stuff, and we have the power to fix it. So if it's so damaging, Why does asking for a booking fee or a deposit make your stomach do backflips? You're not alone. Lots of us hesitate because of a few core fears. First, there's the fear of looking greedy. You worry that your clients will see it, that you don't trust them, or that they'll just pop down to the road to a salon that doesn't ask for booking fees. The thing is, you've worked hard to build those relationships, and I get that the last thing you want to do is damage that trust. Then there's the people pleaser trap. We are an industry of people pleasers. We are caregivers. We have built successful columns by looking after people and making sure they're happy. Your job is to make them feel fantastic. So bringing in these firm financial rules feels harsh. It doesn't feel quite what we're used to. It's not quite professional. You worry that it makes you look like the bad guy. But in fact, a survey showed that 69% of salon owners believe their clients do not get the financial hit of a no-show. They don't understand what's going on in your business. And 61% believe that their clients just don't care. They don't see the prep that you did, the clients that you turned away, or the hole in your earnings. They just see a last-minute change of plans. Maybe you've tried booking fees and deposits before. Perhaps you launched a policy, got one or two shitty comments from clients, or somebody complained, and then you just caved in. And I've seen it happen. Or I've seen lots of salon businesses where they're quite happy to charge booking fees and deposits for online appointments, but when it comes to asking for money face to face, well, they're a little bit more reluctant, and they end up with a kind of dual system, dual standards that are going on, which feels unfair to you and unfair to your customers as well. The biggest myth that we need to bust is that a deposit is some kind of punishment. It's not. It's a standard professional practice that shows that you value your time and you expect the same from your customers. It happens every time when we book a holiday, we have to pay a deposit. If you book a caterer for a large event, you're expected to pay a deposit. Even a table at some restaurants expect you to pay a table deposit. Your time as a skilled professional is just as valuable, and a deposit is just asking your client to acknowledge that too. It's not a penalty that we're imposing. So if you're ready to stop the bleeding and start running your business like a proper business, let's start building your policy. The first thing is you need to understand the difference between a deposit and a booking fee. Honestly, as long as we get the language right and it's crystal clear to your customer, you can call it whatever you want. But in most people's minds, a deposit is something that will be refundable up to a certain amount of time. A booking fee is non-refundable, even after a certain amount of time. And there's a few ways to do this, and some of them are better than others. So we could charge a cancellation fee. So if we, let's say, charge charge a deposit or charge for a service up front, and then the client decides to cancel, then it's a bit reactive, but we would refund a certain amount. And usually that would taper away. So if they cancel with more than 48 hours notice, they get all the money back. If they cancel with less than 48 hours notice, they would get 50% back or 25% back. But it can create a little bit of conflict. A booking fee tends to be a small but non-refundable extra charge, which secures the slot. It's not really part of the final bill. It can feel a little bit sneaky, and sometimes it kind of confuses people. A deposit is an upfront payment, usually a percentage of the service, and people would set that at 25% or 50% of the total service, and then that's taken off the client's bill. And that's a bit more of a proactive tool. It's not an extra fee, it's just part of the payment made in advance. And this is the one that I've always worked with. This is the one that I like. And we can set those percentages. Our Salon software systems are quite clever. Some services you might want a lower deposit than others. Some you might want a 50%, some you might want the entire appointment paid up front. But it's got to be meaningful, and this is where a lot of people go wrong. They charge a 50% deposit against a brow shape. Well, 50% of a brow shape appointment might only be £7.50 or a tenner, and maybe actually customers don't really, it's not enough skin in the game for them to actually feel it, so you might want a bigger deposit against smaller appointments. Whatever you decide, your policy needs to be simple, it needs to be fair, And it needs to be everywhere. It needs to be for everybody. So if you're charging, let's say, a 25% deposit, which I think is a decent starting point for regular services, maybe 50% for the bigger stuff, for the major services, colour corrections, your wedding packages and so on, I think that's perfectly reasonable. And then you need to decide your cancellation window. And I think this needs to be really clear, but it needs to be fair to you. And in my mind, it's how much time would you need to fill that slot? So a lot of people are working on 24-hour cancellation policies, but 24 hours isn't enough time for them to get a booking into that slot. So if you're only getting 25% of the money, you're still down on the appointment. What we want is maybe 48 hours so that we get the deposit, and then maybe we've got time to discount that slot to get somebody else booked in. And then overall, we're back onto a level playing field again. So personally, I think 24 hours is a bit too short. I think 48 hours is more realistic to get the slot filled. And then I would tie that notice period in with your reminders. So I don't think it's very fair to have a 48-hour cancellation policy, but they don't get their reminder until 24 hours before the appointment, because usually it's the reminder which prompts people that they might have a problem or a conflict in their diary and they need to do something about it. So I would make those the same if you can. So if we could do a 48-hour cancellation policy, maybe they get their text reminder at 52 hours. So they've got enough time to reschedule the appointment and they've still got plenty of notice not to lose any money. And this policy needs to be everywhere. It needs to be on the website booking page, needs to be in your confirmations, in your reminder emails, and you could put a small polite sign at reception as well. No one's going to get stroppy about a policy that they were clearly told about 3 times. Yes, we can let technology do the dirty work. So the best way to take all the awkwardness out of this is to automate it. And most salon booking software is built for this. So when a client books online, the system just asks for the deposit to confirm the appointment. There's no awkward chat. There's no messing about with a card machine. The software enforces your policy for you. Now, the one thing I would say about these policies is they give you the right, but not the obligation. So yes, absolutely, you've got the right to keep that deposit, but it doesn't mean you have to. It's not going to turn you into a monster. If someone's been run over by a bus on the way to the salon, of course you can still do the right thing and give somebody their money back. But obviously there'll be the exception to the rule. The rule still needs to be in place. Then we're going to announce a new policy with confidence. For your existing clients, you do need to let them know about the change. Don't apologize. Let's frame it as a positive. And I can give you a few words, to maybe a little template that you can use for an email. Quick update on our booking process to make sure that we offer the best availability to all of our wonderful clients. We'll now be taking a deposit to secure all appointments. This isn't an extra fee. It's going to come off your bill on the day. So it's a nice positive post or a positive email that we can put out there. If we do get some pushback, and some people might question it, and with your regulars, actually it's kind of inevitable that you might get 1 or 2 that have a little grumble and say, well, I've never let you down. Just stay calm, smile, frame it as that win-win, and have a few professional lines ready to go. So if they say, well, I've never had to do that before, you can just say, well, yes, it's a new policy we're bringing in for all of our customers to protect the time that we set aside for you. It protects your appointment. Once you're booked in, I know it's safe to turn other people away for that slot. It makes sure that we're both committed. Make sure they understand they're not paying any extra. The deposit's going to come off their final bill. It's not an extra charge. And if they seem a bit put out as a long-time regular, we can say, yes, I appreciate your loyalty. I appreciate that you've never let me down before, but we have to be fair to all of our customers. And that means we have to apply this policy to everybody. Now, obviously, if life happens and you need to reschedule, just make sure you give us as much notice as you can. And if it's more than 48 hours, we'll either move your deposit to your new booking or refund it in full. We just want to stop those last minute gaps on the day. So you've got the language. Bringing in a deposit policy is one of the most powerful decisions you can make. I get the face-to-face deposits are going to be tough. Bear in mind, they're only going to be tough the first time though, because when they pay the bill, they're going to get the deposit knocked off, going to be asked to make a new booking with a new deposit. It's basically just rolling forward. So the first one is always the worst. I promise it gets easier after that. But bear in mind, it's not about punishing people. It's about putting a price and a policy on your time and your talent. It's about making sure they've got some skin in the game, and it's filtering out those clients who maybe aren't quite so serious or aren't quite so respectful of your time and your business. So there we have it. What have I missed? Do you take deposits in your salon? What's your experience been? Let me know in the comments or reach out. My email address scrolling at the bottom of the screen below. I'd particularly like to hear from you if you have encountered some difficulties but stuck with it with booking policies. I'd love to be interviewing you on a future episode of the Build Your Salon podcast. If you're ready to keep hold of more of the money that's coming into your business, I've put together a simple resource, my 5 10-minute money fixes. I'm putting the link to that in the description below as well. They are 5 simple policies, simple changes that you can make in your business that mean that you get to keep more of your profits. They're in there as a PDF, they're in there as a video, they're also in there as an audio if you want to take me for a walk with the dog. Just £9 gets you all 5 money fixes, and I'd love you to be jumping in at 10minutemoneyfix.com. That link in the description below, because obviously I can't speak. Just a few short days until I'm coming all over the internet again with another dose of my no-nonsense wise owl wisdom. And until then, take care.